in various phases of life. Welcome on board. I am Peggy Shandy. Corruption has been a major challenge to the government of Nigeria, with the establishment of anti-corruption agencies like ICPC, EFCC, as part of the initiatives of government to fight corruption, which may facilitate criminal enterprises like drug trafficking, money laundering, and human trafficking, and many more. That will be the focus on this episode of The Patriot. And I have a distinguished Nigerian, a true patriot, who will join me to deal with this topic, corruption. You will meet this distinguished patriot right after this break.
I pledge to Nigeria, my country. So goes the opening lines of the 6-line National Pledge of Nigeria. Today, not a few, whether young or old, merely recite the National Pledge as a matter of routine or tradition, with their hearts being poles apart from the very spirit, creed, and essence of the pledge. Many simply do not understand its purport or feel the import of it, while many others choose to observe the pledge in breach only. Today we have decided to walk on the footpath of the very words of the National Pledge, keeping its vision and essence in our hearts, in our souls, and in our minds.
I pledge to Nigeria, my country,
to be faithful,
loyal, and honest,
to serve Nigeria with all my strength,
to defend her unity,
and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God.
Nigeria, no doubt, will truly be the giant of Africa, developed and well rated in all indices, if her national pledge is treated with sacred obedience. It's on us, it's our duty and responsibility to make this country a better place. Let's live the pledge.
Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. This is the Patriot on Television Nigerian, and my guest is CSP Vandefantesu James, retired, former SARS anti-card theft commander and former head of Department of Counterterrorism and General Investigations with the EFCC. Very distinguished CSP and Commander, welcome to the Patriot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Please, Commander, I want you to give us the definition of corruption and what the phenomenon of corruption is all about.
Yeah, thank you. Corruption, simply put, is a process where you circumvent finances that are meant for public service to suit yourself by using illegal means of trying to achieve those things, by beating the laid down procedures in ensuring that you feel you cover up what you have done. And then corruption also means when you are supposed to provide a service and you decide to undermine the authority by diverting such services through whatever covert means to suit yourself as against the general interest of the public. Simply put, when you're entrusted in an office of authority and you decide to abuse the processes of your office by not doing the right thing, but accumulating a lot of wealth so that you can achieve your personal interest as against that of the public, then that is corruption. Now, the corruption has been with us for quite a long time. It's a monumental thing that has become like a slogan even in the mouths of those who are hawking pure water in Nigeria. It has become something so big that a child who is even 7 years today has the tendencies of becoming corrupt because of the way he or she attends to certain things if he has a chance of relating to the public. You see all these children hawking pure water in traffic, and those of them selling granola in traffic, you will see them also trying to see if they have an opportunity of going away with the change. They can always want to delay you so that you go and drive when the traffic allows you to move on. Those are the tendencies that are inherent and how children now also grow into the sphere of corruption. So it's a huge, huge thing in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Commander. Permit me to call you Commander, sir.
Thank you, no problem.
Yes, because always a commander, always
It's
a
always a commander.
Thank you, sir. I'm very happy to listen to you very carefully, and then you're launching into the causes already. Or what are the forms of corruption or the causes?
Yeah, you have various forms of corruption. It could be through services. People can use that to become corrupt. It could be through the act of doing certain things. It could be corrupt. It could also be through you refusing to do the right thing, knowing very well that if you delay it, you're going to get some reward that are not too obvious for what your office is supposed to give you. And that is also corruption. So corruption has various forms. You have it in the private sector, you have it in the public sector. You have it in public places, even within the media also you have it. You have it within government cycles, you have it within security agencies. It's not something that's limited to one person. So you have a lot of forms of it. It could come indirectly or it could come directly, depending on the person you meet on the seat and his disposition to you.
Fine. Can you just provide us a few causes, just very important causes of corruption? What causes corruption?
What causes corruption is the fear of the future for most public officers, and also the unknown that people feel they can lodge themselves into. If you go down memory lane, corruption became endemic after General Mutara of later blessed memory decided to take a sweep at top echelon of the civil service that they were corrupt. And most of them left the service and discovered that they have nothing to fall back on. So it was a thing that started coming as a result of people trying to save the future. So most people in public offices today, and since that time, decided to always make sure that they become corrupt by either trying to steal from the public funds or trying to divert as much as they can or delay certain processes so that they can be influenced financially before they can allow certain things to be happening around the offices they occupy. So those are the causes and the forms of corruption that you have in the country today.
Thank you very much, Commander.
You're welcome.
Yes, and that takes us to another very important question I want to find out from you. Is corruption measured? Do you measure corruption?
Well, to an extent, you can measure corruption because if you are looking at the quantum of social services vis-a-vis the releases from the federation account or the budget per year, you don't discover that you are expected to stay at 0.20, and at the end of the year, you release all that is supposed to be done, and then you expect that funds are supposed to achieve certain levels of governance, and then you discover you didn't achieve it. Hospitals are not running, schools are not running, water is not working, the life system is bad. But meanwhile, you have budgeted and released funds for these things. So you can measure corruption when these services are not provided efficiently.
Or in terms of demand and supply?
Yes, in terms of
Balance
demand
and
and
checks?
supply, yes.
And balance?
When society is complaining that we have bad roads, society is telling you there's no good water for us to drink, we don't have good drugs, or what you have is fake drugs. Government should be able to sit down and say, okay, they can measure the failure system based on corruption. And then when you look at how much you have churned out to make sure these things work well and they are not working well, then you can relate statistics to it and be able to come out to say that corruption has taken a lot of what we're supposed to do. And then you look at what United Nations have been coming out with, the life expectancy rate of an average Nigerian has become so bad. It's as a result of corruption, which has been tied to poverty. So when you are corrupt, it means so many people are not going to have access to social services. And when they don't have access to it, most of them will die because they don't have access to most of these things that are supposed to serve them. Hunger, diseases, and the rest of them. So you will discover that you can measure corruption if you really want to attach figures to it.
This is beautiful to listen to you say this thing. You're dissecting the dialectics here.
Thank you.
Yes, but we still want to find out. Amnesty, Transparency International is the name of an organization that measures. There was been conflicting controversies and conflicting indices that were released lately from in the press. What exactly do you think the measurement of corruption and as the corruption perception index to which they were able to purport and has gone in controversy true?
Well, as a government in Africa generally, government don't want to take responsibility for certain things that are negatively published against it. And that is the more reason why at times you discover the headship of various governments in Africa don't come out categorically to agree that most of these international ratings are true, because they seem not to agree with them on the basis of the way they run the countries. Now, if Amnesty International is an organization that measures the perception index of countries that are involved in corruption, and they look at certain aspects of the public services and utilities, and they come out to say that in this sector, corruption is endemic. Here it is like this, here it is like this. They attach values to it, and then they come out and say that out of this, Nigeria is rated the 100 and something worst corrupt nation on surface earth. And then they tell you why they have arrived at these conclusions. And then you look at the police services, you look at the civil service, you look at the military, you look at the health service. You don't discover that what they tell you is for an average Nigerian to go to these sectors. You will have a pinch of what they are telling you. Because myself as an ex-policeman, I know that there are certain aspects of the police that are technically not supposed to be there, but people pay for it because certain things are not available. Now you go to hospitals, you still see the same thing. You go to schools, you see the same thing. You enter a school where you expect teachers to be teaching, and you see them, they will say, go home, go and bring something for your handwork instead of teaching your child craft work. That is an area of trying to educate children not to become productive. And the whole thing is do what? To steal from the families of these peoples and then make some money for whoever the teacher or the headmaster. Now you get to the police, you discover that they will tell you bail is free. Certain things are done. But throughout the period I was in service, I never see where police as an institution gave me the case file that was supplied to the station. I've never seen where police as an institution brought writing statement sheets that were supplied to any police station.
So which means bail was not exactly free.
Well,
you're generating
you have to apply
funds
for
from
bail.
the people's monies that you collected.
You have to apply for bail, and you have to use super to apply for the bail. You have to use
all right, Commander.
to apply for the bail.
We're just good. We'll come back to you just after this. Now, well, we will take a look at the documentary where President Buhari made fight against insurgency and corruption as part of the focus of his administration. Take a look at this and join us again.
A looter, someone who has been given the access to public funds,
embezzles money,
takes money that is allocated
for a project
that does not belong to him.
The money that belongs to the society.
Looter.
Nigeria, largest oil producer in Africa and 6th largest in the world, is rich in natural resources like natural gas, tin, iron ore, coal, limestone, niobium, lead, zinc, and arable land. But despite this endowment, the country's growing population, while it's in poverty, while its misfortune is blamed on corruption. When President Muhammadu Buhari took over the mantle of leadership on May 29, 2015, he vowed to combat corruption in Nigeria, no matter whose org seeks gold.
Corruption is a hydra-headed monster and a cankerworm that undermines the fabric of all societies.
This was clearly indicated in the arrest of Colonel Dasuki, retired, the then National Security Advisor of President Jonathan, who was charged to court by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over the massive scam in weapons and defense procurement that led to the misuse of 3 trillion naira defense budgets since 2011 under the guise of fighting the notorious Boko Haram menace. 5 years later, the president's anti-corruption drive is yielding laudable results, redeeming the country's dented image in the eyes of international communities. Corruption is the greatest obstacle preventing Nigeria from achieving its enormous potential.
Welcome back. That's a documentary on Buhari's fight against corruption. Distinguished Commander, you were mentioning that bail is not free. In principle, but in reality, that you have never seen where the Nigerian government has provided stationaries to you while you were service. So what exactly is this controversy and the paradox of bail is free, and they paste it everywhere in all the police stations, and yet it is not free?
Yeah,
or is it that the government has given the monies and police, in their usual, have decided to pocket it and then just want to extort money?
Well, no. If you look at the budgetary provisions for the police force, you discover that, yes, on paper, it looks quite huge, but in reality, it's quite small. When you take, like Abuja, for instance, you have over 40 divisional police headquarters in Abuja, and then that is 40 DPOs in this town. Then you have area commands in this Abuja also. Now, when you release 50 million as a capital project to the FCT command, and then you release little money for overhead cost, you will now discover that what goes to each police station at times is less than 2,000 naira. And when you can't run a division for 3 months with 2,000 naira. But most commissioners will still be afraid to come out and tell the whole world that they have insufficient funds to run the state, that they are constrained. And that is why most people who are in states where they have governors that are good, they support them in providing most of these things. But then it doesn't go around for you to say you are going to have necessary documents to do the police work with. So police can give you, yes, the individuals can give you what they know they can be the best service. But in terms of doing most of these things, honestly, unless you use your own personal money, you can't be able to achieve it. So bail can be free by paper, but you must purchase so many things that are supposed to make you do most of these things. You need case files, you need statement sheets, you need the paper to do the applications. And then you need biros to do these things. And you are paid salary not because you are supposed to use it to do most of these things in the office. It's to feed your family. And then at the end of the day, you discover that you just have to take money from some people to make sure most of these things are provided for before you can grant bail. So bail is not free as it is.
Commander, please, this system has affected even all Nigerians, you know, who have experience with the police. So is it very correct that, you know, your regimental system where the man at the helm of affairs gives orders and you have to obey the last command?
Yeah, because you have been told that you have to obey before you complain. And then when you finish obeying the orders, who are you going to complain to again? You have implemented the directives you've been given to do it, and then you have done it, so you don't need to complain again. Yeah, they know, most of the senior officers know the challenge that police are faced with. But nobody wants to lose his posting, so you must keep quiet because you want your posting to be there. But if you talk to most of them, they will tell you privately the kind of things they went through. Every policeman wants to give you the quality service you want because it's very painful when, for instance, you hear there's a robbery in point A and you are in point C, and the distance between you and that person is like 15 kilometers, and then you don't have fuel to drive to that point. There's no way you can provide the security needed by that person. You feel it, but then you are handicapped, you can't go. And then secondly, you discover that there's no police division in Nigeria that has more than 2 patrol vehicles. There is none. And then you have a space of over 15 square kilometers to cover as a divisional police commander. And at the end of the day, you have robberies that are happening every day in most distant locations. These are divisions that are within the town. If you go to my place, like in Kwane local government, you discover from the divisional headquarters to the boundary of Nigeria and Cameroon, it's over 90 kilometers. And then you have a pickup that cannot drive more than 20 kilometers per hour. And you have a challenge by the border, and the people need intervention. There's nothing you can do. Because when you don't have money to fuel the car to go to that place, the whole of that border have only one policeman, because people are still not looking at the total strength of the police to combat most of these things. So you struggle to make sure that the little you have, you use it to satisfy the society. But there's a way you must be stretched, and then you look at where you can source of funds to do most of these things. If not, the police will collapse one day.
Okay, so thank you very much, distinguished commander, you have commanded so many places, so I wish I could be a commander too.
You will be there one day. You're commanding me now.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Interrogating
I'm a commander of the microphone.
Yeah.
You are the commander of forces. All right. Now, it takes us to a very important aspect of the policing, which is the vehicles. You know, it is believed that the military has a more rigorous task in providing security in terms of territorial integrity and the territorial coverage. And then the police are, scheduled to deal with internal security and stuff like that, holding peace and all that. But the question Nigerians keep asking is, you give the military vehicles. Come 10 years after, the vehicle is still going to be maintained. You come to police, you give them the same quality of vehicles, then in less than 2 weeks, that whole vehicle cannot even drive 20 kilometers per hour, just like you have mentioned here. And then if you go to the police barracks, they don't look as neat as the military barracks. What is responsible for this type of recklessness of the police not being able to maintain the vehicles at all?
Well, I beg to disagree with you that the police are reckless in maintaining vehicles. They don't. Police, as an institution, is very well organized. Now, if you look at what happened to the police, the military decided when they were in power to deliberately run down the police services. And the civilian government has inherited that mentality from the military. They feel the army is a superior force, agreed, because of the kind of caliber weapons they have as against the police. Now, I also disagree with you that the internal security work of the police is less as compared to the military. Because what the military is doing today is what the police is supposed to be doing. And I bet you, if you have enough manpower and training and the equipments that the army have, and you give 1/3 of that to the police, you won't have all these things about the insurgencies, and you won't have all this Boko Haram issue that has lingered on for long. Now, if you do the analysis of budgeting that is available to the military and that of the police, it's a far cry. Now, why the police vehicles are always bad is what I have told you. The intensity of the usage of these vehicles is not what the army has subjected their vehicles to. That is one. The army have well-organized maintenance workshops that are still running there. They have engineering units that take care of these things. The police will see them taking their vehicles to roadside mechanics because most of these workshops are dead.
But the police has drivers, they have drivers, they also
you have drivers, they don't have mechanics. You have drivers who don't have mechanics.
They have dog section, dog section.
Yes, dog sections. You
There's
have it.
the
You have
workshops.
those that can maintain the dogs. The dog cannot repair a car.
No, but
The
they
dog
also,
section-
just like the dogs, you also have the workshops.
Yes, you have workshop. You are supposed to have workshop that can maintain the police vehicles, but you don't have. You also have workshop for armorers that can make sure they service your guns. Rather, it is the same armorers that are also there to service the same weapons that the policeman has. You don't have a central place you can take particular weapons to go that, okay, these ones are bad, so you go and fix them. You don't have where you can go and store them. Now, in the military, it's quite different. They have professionals in all this field, and they make sure that money is sufficiently allocated to them. But the police, everybody looks down on the police. But when you look at what is happening today internally, the police have been overstretched. You don't have enough manpower to even cover certain units. It is because of the fear of the internal security that you have more policemen guiding civilians now who are VIPs than going for public duties like road patrols, public buildings, and then stop and search, because we don't have enough manpower to cover these things. So if you look at what the police have and what the army have, you will discover that if we give the police better equipment, they are more effective internally than the military. We are more spread to all the divisions in this country, the wards in this country. There's no single council ward in Nigeria today that don't have a police post there, trying to gather intelligence, trying to make sure they suppress insecurity around there. But you don't have soldiers supposed to do most of these things. So soldiers are not as stretched as the police are. But it's because of our mentality that you have seen a soldier, so okay, he's better than you. For me, personally, I feel the civil populace is doing this because they want to use the military to not suppress the intentions, if at all they have, or trying to make sure they can do a coup tomorrow.
Commander.
So when you engage the military so much in most of this internal security,
yes,
they will be too busy now to sit down and thinking of saying, okay, I
Oh,
want to do something negative.
Oh, all right, Commander. We are talking about corruption.
Yeah,
You have watched the documentary
I did.
very well. And you have just revealed now that the absence of the workshop engineers or mechanics for the police, that the security in which the soldiers are handling, it is actually supposed to be the job of the police,
Yes.
which means they have now been able to juxtapose the military into police.
Yes.
And about the absence of these workshops, could it also be part of the corruption that is also found in the police? Just before we go further.
No, I won't agree that it's because of corruption. Now, police recruitment over time now has not been looking at most of these other professionals to come on board. So what the police normally do is to recruit those who can work for general duty and then those who are in ICT. Now, if you look at the police manuals, they've been there from the time of the pre-colonial area when they were trained in NA police. Now, it is the same manual that we have inherited, we used, and then we have graduated and then retired. It is now that the police are looking at other new crime rates, like the cyber crime, they're trying to now bring in ICT personnel who can now be able to tackle most of these things. But when it comes to the issue of mechanical services, for long now, police have not recruited most of these people because maybe requests are made for them to come in, but nobody has been in the approach. You can't just go and recruit unless the federal government gives you the permission to do the recruitment. And you can see the administrative structures of the police. Today they are with the Police Affairs Ministry. The next day they are made with Internal Affairs. So you keep pushing this essential organ of government to whichever way you want. You woke up today, you say you want a minister, B, Interior. Tomorrow you woke up, you want a Minister of Police Affairs. So policy-wise also, it's affecting most of these things. And when you have a Minister of Interior, who is going to command who? Is it the police that's going to take orders from him? Is it supervising the entire police function? Because they intervene with most of the police functions. But an IG who is there may be afraid of speaking out because he wants that relationship to continue until he wants to hold his own office. So he may not be too willing to tell the president that this your minister is intervening in my postings, is intervening in my budgeting, is intervening in my capital projects.
It's okay, Commander. That's very beautiful. You have actually sunk deep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to also react on the documentary that you have just watched.
Well,
Do you think President Muhammad Buhari, on his scorecard, has been able to tackle corruption very well?
Well, to an extent, yes, he has been able to, because we have seen a lot of big men heated to go to jail. Now, but when you look at the complementary effort the National Assembly is supposed to give the administration, it is not there. If you look at the judiciary too, they've been for dragging. What is so big in the Chief Justice of the Federation is establishing particular courts that will not handle only corruption cases. Now, what is so big in the National Assembly making laws that there should be separate courts and judges that can prosecute corruption cases. Now, if you look at the whole scenario, you have a lot of National Assembly members who are now convicted and are serving various jail terms. Now, you can't go and conduct election in most of these their wards again. They are there in prisons. Government is still paying their salaries. They are not sitting in the chambers. They are not giving the constitutional services that's also provide for their people. But yet, National Assembly will still tell you I can't declare that seat vacant. Now, that is an aspect of corruption because you allow payments to roll to these people knowing very well that they are convicts. It is just like saying if a serving minister today is convicted, the president should still leave him to be on the payroll of the federal government. The National Assembly will start raising eyebrows.
That's right.
But today, the National Assembly does not see anything wrong in stopping the salaries of those who are convicted, who are serving prison terms. The INEC itself has been handicapped. They can't go and start conducting elections in most of these constituencies unless the National Assembly supports it. So, corruption war has become a very tedious war, bigger than what you have in Boko Haram. And it is because it's a snowball of what you have here that we see that Boko Haram too is becoming stronger by the day. Because nothing is so difficult in trying to track down Shakao. Nothing is so hard in trying to track down those who are the sponsors of Boko Haram. But till today, we have been unable to prosecute one senior commander of Boko Haram. You are people who are fighting with killing, mining, raping, destroying, and doing all sorts of nonsense. And then at the end of the day, you process them and you tell me that, okay, these are repentant Boko Haram. And then you now take them back, reintegrate them into the system, the national army. How will you be secured when you have such people who are now working with you? Those who were shooting against you are now working with you. It's like the police working out tomorrow that, okay, we have repentant armed robbers, so we include them in the police force. And then government will start saying, okay, process them and then join the police force. So if you are sincere about corruption as a citizen, I think they should be supporting the government in making sure these things have gone away. But we are National Assembly organs that are supposed to do these things. The judiciary and then the National Assembly are not supportive enough. The president alone cannot do these things. Mind you, when he came as a military head of state, it was the same war against indiscipline. We don't want to be disciplined. We don't want to look at public utilities as a thing that can become a thing that any other person can use tomorrow. We see them as things we can destroy and get away with.
Commander, can you just throw a little light on the repentant Boko Harams and just the examples that you just gave here, that you just met armed robbers and then you just wake up in the morning and you just found armed robbers and then you say they repented and you recruited them back into the personnel. Now, the question is, to recruit personnel, don't you think the bravery of the personnel in terms of examinations that you conduct or the tests that you conduct on such, human specimen, to be able to enlist them? The Boko Haram fighters, they have bravery. The armed robbers too have bravery. Is that not what you're looking for as a panacea or an ingredient to recruit, please?
There is no bravery in any of these people that is bigger than me who is trained. It's an insult for me to see an armed robber I've arrested and then tomorrow I find him in the same national uniform with me. For me, it's an insult of my integrity and then that uniform. What you are looking at is not the individual inside the uniform. You are looking at the uniform you wear. It's a thing of pride. It's a national pride for you to put it on.
It's very patriotic.
Yes, and then it gives you energy that is beyond that. The training you receive before you wear that uniform is very tedious. And then you go through so many things. These are people that have not gone through any regimented training. So they can't be as brave as me. They don't know operational maneuvers more than me. They can't interpret a map more than me. And when they cannot do most of these things, you now discover that my own bravery is far beyond what they have. Now look at the issue of Boko Haram, for instance. These are very small boys, underage children, that every day they are saying you should disabuse the minds of these boys, being recruited into the uniformed organizations. But in the case of an insurgent like Boko Haram, they don't bother who or how old you are. In as much as they can bring you in and then brainwash you to give you a gun, go out and kill. Then you join Boko Haram. And then when you are arrested, they will say, okay, put them in one place, talk to them, and then let them go out. But the question is, who are the people who are doing this? You have psychologists, you have sociologists that are supposed to be guiding these boys. And then federal government is bringing a policy that to do this. I will tell you one thing that's very pathetic. When you want to fight any war in a country today, don't bring religion or tribalism into it. And once you do that, you are bringing down the morale of the people that are supposed to help you do this. So corruption is not just all about you circumventing the process of trying to achieve certain things that you go home and have $1 million around me. No. Corruption is when you give also wrong orders that cannot bastardize a policy or a process that has been started legally. You have people who are well trained. You have generals who are at the war front. They know what they are going through. They have families back home. They have children who are as young as those ones. And then they go through the heat. They go to the desert to make sure that these boys are rounded up. Instead of prosecuting them, you know, give an instruction, process them and let them join the army. Who's giving that order? Nobody's saying it. But then they're still there in the military. Now, you discover that you have a Boko Haram repentant, so to say, here with you. And then he knows that you are going to attack his village where Boko Haram are staying. There is that tendency that he can leak that information to you. And that is why in modern days, issues of ambushes in the north is becoming very rampant, because certainly someone inside is leaking the information about the troop movement.
And there is also corruption.
It's corruption, because you have been able now to inject people who are not patriots into what you are supposed to achieve. So since they are not patriots, there's no way they can see you a soldier,
Commander,
as someone that can give them what they were getting inside the bush.
that's very good. Commander, I have also understood the other angle to the corruption, that even the man who should be giving the orders that has been kept silent is also itself.
It's corruption by itself.
All right. Now, I want you, we are delving a little more into security issues rather than deal with the beat of the corruption. Now, you have worked with the EFCC.
Yes.
You have worked with the EFCC as the investigation officer,
Yes.
the chief investigation, general investigation.
Yeah.
And I know that you really must have stepped on quite a number of toes in dealing with the corruption.
All right.
I want you to be very specific, not to give us an expurgated account on cases and the experiences, you know, in those cases that you have dealt with, you know, and then as an experienced investigative officer of corruption. And as a matter of fact, you an expert as an anti-corruption law enforcement expert. Please, what can you tell us about that?
Well, I won't be discussing particular cases here because I am on a general public medium now. But if you work inside the EFCC, everybody there loves doing this work because they are well trained. And when we were there, I spent about 8 years in the EFCC. Now, I had various appointments within the EFCC, including the bank fraud department. Now, there are cases you investigate and the kind of things you see, mostly with state governments, you will be appalled because the way they take money that is meant for public services is as if this money is just on the road, you just go and pack and go. No documents, no straight orders, no approvals. But sometimes you arrest and they'll tell you just a phone call. Now, I investigated local government accounts of a particular state, I won't tell you the name. Now, what they were doing was fertilizer purchases. So every month, once money comes into the state for local governments, the local government commissioner will call all the local government chairmen to come to the state capital. And he will not tell them, okay, you should sign that you have taken delivery of 10 trucks of fertilizer to be distributed to your people back home. And they will sign. And then equivalent amount of money will be deducted from them because they assume to have awarded contracts for the supply of fertilizers to the people. Now, the simple question was, when they came, let me see the invoices where you delivered. And then it was taken over. And then let me see the list of those who distributed and how I can, at least let me locate like 30 of the beneficiaries. There was no proof. There was just nothing on ground. And then it cut across all the local governments that I investigated. And at the end of the day, you will sit down and asking yourself, why will you, who is supposed to be the closest person of government to the community, join the state government in duping your people, and then you're happy? How much have you been giving every month? And they said 10 million. Every month, once you allow these monies to go, you have 10 million to your kitty. They were all prosecuted. Now, we were doing this case of Halibutin. I was part of the team that was incorporated by the then president to do it in force quarters under Mr. Kiro. And the things I also saw, it was the same Nigerians that connived with them overseas to not see that the award of contracts for the building of the LNG was not properly done. It is not the president that did it, the people that he has directed.
Not properly done in terms of what?
That was where the train 1, 2, 3 to 6 was supposed to be train 1 to 6. They were not constructed. A lot of monies came in and then went back again.
And then it was written that it was constructed.
Yes, it was there that these things were done. But the money was traced to individuals, and that's why today, here, we can't prosecute, but overseas they have prosecuted most of them. Now, there was this scam again that we had. We sat as a team, we reviewed it. The oil scam that you call it the